I want to be bullied by a brown-skinned girl.
What?
I want to be bullied by a brown-skinned girl. Bro, you can't just start a video like, I want to be bullied! I want to be bullied! Please, don't bully me, Miss Nagatoro. Nagatoro. There's no auto tell me how to say this on Google.
Nagatoro.
So if I'm pronouncing it wrong, fuck it. That's its new name. It should be grateful. It got a new name by me. It's a classic childhood friend couple where the girl teases a shy boy who doesn't necessarily know how to express their feelings, something that in 2020 is perfectly reasonable, seeing as how guys, at least in my opinion, are a lot of the times more emotionally neutered due to how society treats them. There's a word for this phenomenon, but probably saying it would shut off a lot of people suffering from it from watching this video, and maybe they needed to see this video. Red pills aside, there's a few twists on the story that make it stand out, at least to me. And not just because they managed to write a brown-ish character without making them a horrible stereotype, something that's getting better in Japan, but not that great. There's a reason they sided with these, let's be honest, and as SBN3 said best,
Son, who is this?
No one, Mom. But if it's any consolation, she's Jewish.
Gotta say that so loud?
What's wrong?
We're in Japan. The never ended.
she's adorable. But she's also a bit of a cunt, to the point where even the comments on the manga, on a completely official site, didn't even side with him. Yes, men in their basement decided to side against the woman. I know, it's insane.
God, I know, right? Guys are the worst.
Nagatoro, or Nagi, or whatever you want to call her, she's constantly bullies our nerdy protag, calling him a virgin and gross and poking fun at a lot of different things that he does, and maybe it's all a little bit too hard for them, you know, they just can't take it. But that being said, it's not like the things that he does is even that bad either. Again, this manga is pretty more realistic than normal. And let's be honest, most protagonists in this kind of anime, the things that they would be doing and getting away with would end up having them have a twit longer or a Me Too shortly after. Bruh. Because anime protagonists, male and females, get a little bit touchy. A bit touchy-feely, maybe a little bit too much. Maybe keep your gross wiggly hands away from where they shouldn't be. And that's what I actually like about this story. It's more grounded nature. Even though Nagatoro acts like a big bad bully, she's still a teenage girl, a normal teenage girl. She doesn't even pilot a mech, and she's not a magical girl, and she's not the key to save the universe. She's at heart just a normal shy girl, just like the guy. She goads him to doing lovey-dovey stuff like putting on her stockings for her. But when he doesn't stop, she gets embarrassed and she stops him. She also doesn't do the classic anime overreaction where if you walked in on her naked, she just straight up kills you. It's more grounded where she apologizes or simply gets flushed or simply gets flustered. And she even tries to cheer him up when she feels she's gone too far. She's rather protective of her protag too, not allowing other people to bully him as she sees that as someone encroaching on her prey, but mainly because she's just the jealous type. She gets jealous pretty easily, and when she's not with our nameless protag, by the way, yes, he doesn't have a name, but he does have pupils and eyes, which means it's not that kind of manga, so you can kind of read it in public. It is still a total fetish manga, but it's not explicit at least. That's a step up. But when she's not with him, she acts like a fairly normal girl. In fact, it's shown multiple times throughout the series that she's just a regular high school girl with just a fetish for bullying nerdy high school boys. Really, the only thing that gets super anime-y is the fact that, again, our 5 out of 10 protag is surrounded by literal 9s and 10s. But in all honesty, that's not even that crazy. I feel like as guys, we often disregard the possibilities of girls simply wanting to be with someone without any form of sexual attraction, or how far just being nice and proper grooming can take you. Look, I'm not trying to reverse black pill you, but just being a decent person who grooms themselves decently well is enough for some people, both males and females, to be attracted to you. Just don't be a dick, which is essentially what our pro tag is.
The fuck you say to me, you little shit?
He's a decently well-groomed 5 out of 10 pro tag who's a nice person, an actual nice guy who does things not because he's expecting sex as a reward, but because they're just the right thing to do. I know it's a shocker in 2020, someone who just does things because they're good things to do with no expectation of getting any kind of monetary reward for what they're doing, other than the masochistic bully aspect, which a lot of guys seem to be into lately. No shame, that's fine.
That is shameless.
But there's nothing really much that is different from this manga than any other high school romance anime. That's not a bad thing, but it is something to keep in mind if you plan to start it. If you're not into the whole bully thing, this really isn't for you. It's brought up a lot, and while it's really endearing at times, it switches right back to being Nagatoro calling the main character gross and talking about how wiggly he is. I'm not saying you absolutely can't enjoy it without liking this, because it's not really my thing, and I was able to read the whole manga. But as a retrospective look on the work, it is a huge aspect of the manga, to the point where it's almost a gimmick manga. I don't think it's necessarily bad to be mediocre without a niche, but it really highlights how uncomplex the rest of the elements of the story are. There's no real conflict, there's no rival or any perceived rivals that last longer than a few pages before they all realize that there's really no threat here. Really, the biggest conflict is going to be you getting frustrated and screaming at the pages, "Why don't you two just fuck already?" Despite how much I essentially like the manga, being forced to sit down and compile my thoughts makes me realize how little there is to actually say about it. It's a meh manga at best. It's not bad, it's well drawn, and it's got a competent story. There's nothing unique here. It's just fan service. And if it's only fan service, then at that point, our pro tag might as well not have eyes. Because you might as well just watch Queen's Blade or High School of the Dead or read some other obscure, more like lewd manga. And if you're into all of those things, you probably don't care about this review. The manga's not finished, but there's really no deeper meaning I can really find at this point about the story.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
And we're, I think, almost 100 chapters in. Our pro tag isn't super ugly, and he's incredibly talented and kind. Of course, girls are attracted to him. He's a sophomore guy, so yeah, he's probably shy about his sexuality, and the girls might be a bit more open to it because society already sexualizes them at a much younger age, and they become accustomed and numb to it. Maybe the reason they're attracted to him is his unwillingness to act in a traditionally masculine way. In fact, that is the case, since they constantly mess with him to get a reaction by doing things most guys would simply jump at the chance to take advantage of. But I don't think this novel was trying to make a meta commentary about the traditional gender norms or the way that society treats males and females, because the manga is still filled with just as much objectification as any anime is. This is why I feel it's important to watch and read things twice to ever have anything more than a surface level understanding of them. The first is to enjoy, the second is to really understand what the author is trying to say. And all I get from this story is the author is horny on main.
Oh my god!
That's not bad though, it just means there's nothing more for me to really think about in regards to the story. But that's just what I think the author is trying to say, not necessarily what someone can interpret from his story. If you ask me, what I interpret from the story is challenging the traditional gender hierarchy often found in anime. As we know, the female character is often treated as nothing more than eye candy, and the protag are painfully boring generic self-insert, especially when the genre is more sexualized. The protag is a male, often never sees the advances of the girl, and often never takes them up, or challenges her. While that's not necessarily so strange, as while a lot of people would like to think that they're porn stars, when a person you find overwhelmingly attractive is just blatantly coming on to you, a lot of the times your insecurities can start firing up pretty hard. The issue is just how often it happens for protags in harem animes. At some point, you should become desensitized to the stimuli, and at some point, you're going to take the bait. But it almost never happens. It's just painfully annoying and horribly reality breaking for me. There are stories that attempt to tackle this with arbitrary reasons as to why they can't actually boink the literal 10 out of 10 females throwing themselves at the protag, but they all seem pretty lackluster. Like, it's illegal for you to fuck these girls for some reason. But the main thing with this story is that the protag reacts in a more reserved and flustered yet eager way. Maybe a little more shy, but I think most people reading the manga can relate to being a bit shy. He's not used to the attention and most likely a bit overwhelmed, but there are plenty of times the protag actually just grows a pair and goes for it. And the female isn't just a high school succubus. She's just a normal girl doing normal girl things with a penchant for being a bit of a bully every now and then. I still consider this manga, even with all of its stuff, to be a 6 out of 10. Slightly above normal, but nothing to really write home about. It's a good manga and it's a solid one. But if you're not into the bullying aspect, or you're just not even into the genre of high school romance, it's not something that's going to get you into those things. So it's for people who are already into this and just looking for maybe a different stylization of it, a fresher take on it than normal. And if that's your thing, then this manga is perfect for you. And if it's not, well, maybe just stick to looking up cute pictures of Nagatoro on Danburu or Gelburu. If you guys have read this manga, let me know and let me know your thoughts. I actually would love to read your own little mini reviews. The longer the better, actually. And if you haven't already, click subscribe, press the like button. It helps us out a ton. Leave a comment whether you love the video, hate the video, found fault with my logic, reasoning, or you're just trying to tell me to stop being an SJW show, putting all my leftist ideologies in my reviews. Whatever is the case, I'd love to hear it down below. And if you absolutely adore me, and you want to simp for me, like people simp for Nagatoro, then go ahead and subscribe to me on Patreon. And as always, guys, I love your faces, so if you at least like my video, and I'll see you in the next one.